It's the 18th of January 2017, and what a long, strange trip it's been. I kind of waited for a while before I said anything else about the Sheriff's Office since Bernal took office in 2015, but I just had a couple things that I wanted to go over, and I didn't want anybody to feel like I had any hard feelings or anything, and that's not the case. I went into it, the application process, with the expectation of maybe 10% chance of myself getting in. It's not that I was unwilling to disclose anything about myself, and I think I probably disclosed more than anyone that I've ever come across. But and there wasn't anything super major. There was a joyriding from 1982 or 3 or something like that, or some other minor things, but no felonies, no drug convictions, no DUIs, nothing like that. But you know, horsing around. Things that I forgot to put down were like water balloon launching in Monterey. I guess that could be a violation of some sort or another, but it was all in fun. But no, I did put in my application with the Sheriff's Office, and the first go around I took the test and did the physical agility on my own. Then I put in my application, I think probably like April or maybe the end of March of 2015, and around July I received a email and a phone call from a private security company that was contracted with the Sheriff's Office. I guess their contract had gone into effect during Miller's administration and been carried over into Bernal's. And I showed up, and I sat down and I did a little homework on the people that were involved. It was Uretsky Security Company. I had a little familiarity with Billy Uretsky, and knew that he had been a cop and so forth. And then he had a brother, so I wasn't really sure which one was which until I actually sat down in the office, and then it all came back to me, and I said, oh, I know exactly who this guy is. But I went in knowing he had contributed to Miller's administration and his re-election campaign. He asked me some questions and so forth, and I said that I knew that he had been a friend of Miller's. Matter of fact, they graduated from PG High the same year, I think 71. But I went through the process, and then I was given the the no reason given, but they actually gave me a reason. It was my living situation at the time, I guess, was not up to what you would have to have in order to get through the background. So, so be it. That's what I could afford. That's where I lived, and that was the situation. At least it wasn't something else, or something more severe, or something that you thought might disqualify you. But so while I was sitting in the in his office, and he's got a Superman cape hanging on the wall. I guess it's a collector's item that he got from his wife or something. It's in a glass case. It occurred to me who he was, and then I went back and I dug up some more pictures of him back in the day when he was a cop, and I said, oh, I know exactly who this guy is. I had been in Mike's gym in the late 80s, and it was myself. I was just working out, and then the owner, who owned it at the time, it had gone through a number of people's hands, and Uretsky was trying to figure out how to heat up a vial of steroids, and he couldn't put it in the microwave, according to him, because it had a metal cap on it. Well, that makes sense. And I spoke up and I said, well, do you have a cup and some water? You can heat that in the microwave, and then once the water's warm, it'll thaw out. Because they had a freezer, a little mini freezer behind the counter with a padlock on it. I later asked the owner, I said, you just keep that out in the open? And he goes, well, what am I worried about? And I thought about it, and I go, yeah, what are you worried about? You got a cop coming in here using steroids in your gym, and yeah, what do you have to worry about? Nobody's going to bother you. So I'd asked a number of other questions about him over the period of time, and I got back from one of his former roommates, a brother who was in lifting and so forth at the time back in the day. This is probably late 70s, early 80s. He had mentioned that Uretsky used to brag about, you know, selling pot during the time he was going through the police academy to pay his way through. And I was like, wow, it doesn't get any better than this. Everybody and anybody that I asked any questions about Uretsky, the word drug dealer came up a number of times. I didn't give any background. I just said, you know, give me your 2 cents on this guy and tell me what you think. And then I discovered that through former LEOs and LEOs that he had been investigated for that, but they never got him on it. There's a couple of, at the time they were in law enforcement, had eyes on the fact that he did have drugs on him, steroids. And this is the guy that's doing background checks for the Sheriff's Office of Monterey County. So I'm kind of concerned, and I was concerned, so I sent a letter stating everything that I knew, and they then gave me another background investigator to go over my history and so on and so forth, and I felt that that was more than fair. But to sit in the same room with a guy that I don't trust in any way, shape, or form, and then I'm questioning who let him in. Well, we know who let him in. Miller let him in because they were friends. But isn't there somebody in personnel that's supposed to check the guy that's, you know, you screen the screener to make sure that he's righteous, do a little background on him? And when it came back and around, and everybody that had asked me over a period of time who it was I was most concerned with, or people's concern was that I wouldn't get past Thornburg in the sheriff's office because he was in personnel, I started thinking about it. I go, doesn't he have any responsibility to make sure that the guy doing backgrounds is righteous and doesn't have a dirty history of his own? I mean, dirty, yeah, he couldn't even pass a freaking drug test. But as a cop, the guy is involved in illegal practice, and then he in turn comes down the line and handles the background investigations for future LEOs. It just didn't seem right. Anyways, this is just part of the process and things that I'd been sitting on for a long period of time, and I don't want to go too far into this on one video, and I'll just get back to it over time. But peace.